27-year-old woman, and for the past 10 years, I've been living alone in the house I grew up in. That started when I was 17, right after my parents left for what they called a temporary travel sabbatical. They'd been talking about it for months, how they needed to rediscover themselves, how the world was calling, how life was too short not to explore. At first, they made it sound like they'd be gone for 6 months, maybe a year max. They hugged me, told me to hold down the fort, and promised they'd be back before I even noticed they were gone. That was a lie. By the time I turned 18, I was juggling 2 part-time jobs to cover utilities and groceries while still finishing high school. They were already in Greece at that point, sending blurry selfies in front of ancient ruins and captions like living our best life. I still had to feed the cats, mow the lawn, deal with the broken AC unit, and figure out how to pay for the leaking water heater. Every time I asked about money, they brushed it off. "We'll reimburse you," they said. "Just keep the place running. You're doing great." I didn't go to college. I had been accepted to a culinary program abroad that I'd dreamed of since I was 14. I didn't go. My parents said they couldn't afford to fly back and manage the house, that the animals were used to me, that it would be too disruptive if I left. I still have the acceptance email. Never deleted it. At first, it was little things, replacing light bulbs, managing the mail, feeding the cats, cleaning the gutters. But then the bills started coming. Property tax, insurance notices, plumbing repairs. My name wasn't on anything official, but the payments were all coming out of my pocket. I'd send them the invoices. They'd ignore them. I started taking screenshots, building a file. I didn't even realize I was building a case back then. I just didn't want to forget how much I was spending. Meanwhile, their sabbatical turned into a never-ending honeymoon. Bali, Spain, Morocco. I saw my own parents more through their Instagram posts than in real life. When they did come back, usually once a year around the holidays, they acted like guests. They didn't ask how I was doing or what I needed. They expected the guest room cleaned, the fridge stocked, the house warm. They even left their laundry behind when they flew out again. And every time they returned, they brought more stuff. Trinkets from Paris, masks from Ghana, carved boxes from Thailand. They filled up the closets, shoved my things aside, used up space in every room with souvenirs I never asked for. I started fixing the place up, not just because it needed it, but because I needed something to call mine. I saved for months and redid the kitchen myself, painted the exterior, paid for new flooring in the living room, got a new water heater. I wasn't living large, but I was making it work. Eventually, I got a remote job in tech that paid well enough to drop the part-time gigs and focus on the house full-time. I didn't have roommates. I didn't need help. I had everything covered, just me and the cats. They always told me it's basically your house now, that I was holding it down better than they ever did. They even joked that I should start charging them rent when they visited. I thought that was their way of saying thank you. Friends kept telling me to move out, as that I was letting them use me, that I was stuck. But I always had an excuse. What would happen to the house? To the cats? To the garden I started? I'd tell myself it was just temporary, just a little longer, just until they settled down and came home for good. A cousin of mine moved nearby a couple of years ago. We weren't close, but he'd stop by sometimes, always with comments like, "Man, this place is a museum," or "You're basically the caretaker now." I'd laugh it off, not knowing how literal that would become. Nobody in the family ever said anything about what I was giving up. No one asked why a 20-year-old girl was buying roof shingles instead of textbooks, or why she was filing taxes for a house she didn't own. I wasn't bitter, not then. I was tired, but I thought I was doing the right thing. That changed a few months ago. I was sorting through the mail when I saw a thick envelope with my parents' lawyer's return address. I opened it without thinking, figured it was another document I'd need to scan for them. Inside was an updated version of their will. I read it twice before it made sense. The house, the one I'd been taking care of for a decade, wasn't going to me. It was going to that same cousin, the one who joked about the place being a museum.